body magician, Bruce Scott. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Blake. It is an absolute pleasure to be here.
Looking forward to talking about your work, the nervous system, and everything in between. But before we get started, can you give the guys a 60 to 90 second spiel of your world and what's got you to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. My healing journey started very young. So when I was 10, I got viral meningitis and ended up having arthritis in every single joint in my body, chronic fatigue, migraine headaches, insomnia from the ages of 10 to 13. So effectively, I was an 80-year-old man. I know what it's like to live in the body of an 80-year-old man. And the thing that transitioned me out of that, two things that I found was Tai Chi. I found an amazing Tai Chi master. So I started studying Tai Chi when I was 13 with a man who'd been studying with his grandfather since he was 6 years old. He was in his late 60s when I met him, my own personal Mr. Miyagi. And the other thing that I started doing at the same time was receiving Swedish remedial massage, deep tissue. I was doing an hour in a float tank and an hour of remedial massage back in 1989. Like it was out there in those days. These days, it's like it's common. There's a float tank in every suburb. But yeah, so those two things brought me to life, and then the journey's been to continue exploring them ever since.
Good summary. Great summary. So how would you describe your work as the body magician? Because unless someone has a visual representation of what you're about to explain, which I'd definitely encourage them to get on social media to really understand the words that you're about to put forward. But how would you best describe your work?
The elevator pitch these days has boiled down to I facilitate the optimization of human nervous systems. And predominantly, one of the major pathways through which I do that is relaxation. Yeah, that we have the capacity to engage and to be fully engaged, fully on in whatever it is that we're doing. Yeah, switched on, turned on, boom. But we also have the counterpoint of being able to dial that right back down and go into rest, to rest and digest. That's where the body restores itself. That's where the nervous system resets itself. So the more that we can have access to both ends of the spectrum, the more range we've got between them, the more smoothly that we can flow from deep relaxation to full engagement. My experience is the richer my life becomes.
So when you say your life becomes richer, what does that look like? Because that might be a term that people aren't sure of, or even how that kind of shows up. So how has your life become richer as you've done the work to support your nervous system?
Immune function goes through the roof, just as the first one that popped into my head. So the better my immune system works, the healthier I am. The healthier I am, the happier I am. The other, like, really put it in these terms, I'm 45 now, and I'm in the best physical condition of my life. I'm in better physical condition now at 45 than I was at 35. I was better at 35 than I was at 25. So I'm kind of reverse aging. And the end is not in sight yet. I'm not tapped out. I'm not maxed out. I've got, maybe another decade, really clear growth and development. And then my sense is probably plateau from there. I'm going to go hard for it.
Awesome. What's the importance of someone investing time and energy into their nervous system, and how would you simplify the nervous system for someone who's kind of heard about it but doesn't understand it or understand the significance of it?
Beautiful question. We can answer both at the same time. So everything that you experience is a function of your nervous system. Everything you see, hear, touch, taste, feel, every emotion that you experience is this interplay between your nervous system and your chemistry. And we have access to it. We are our own nervous system, and we can make choices that facilitate its function. The more that we do that, the better the nervous system works, the smoother we move, the better we sleep, the more open our heart is to love and connection. the better, the the more joyful our resting state becomes, just neutral.
There's a lot of juice in that. So with your work, how do you work with someone, and how does that potentially support their nervous system and realign them as well?
Yeah, beautiful. My intention is to meet the person where they are. Yeah, to accept that they're 30 to 40 trillion conscious cells, and the very fact that they are alive is miraculous. The complexity of the human body, the interplay between our physiology and our consciousness, it's mind-boggling. And every single person is a unique expression of that. Yeah, we may share similar traits or values or genetics or habits with other people, but how it all comes together in any individual is unique. So my intention is to meet that unique person and really tune in with what's important to them, what are they aligned with, what are they passionate about, and what are they bumping up against? And then we can dance. Usually in a really practical sense, the way that I do that is that someone comes into my space. This room is set up for this purpose. It's a purpose designed room. Someone sits down and I start massaging their feet. And when I have someone's body, when I have their physical body in my hand, then kind of threefold with the feet, everything that's going on structurally in your body, your feet are where the rubber meets the road. So any kinks or misalignments, they have to show up in some way in the feet. And vice versa, anything that you've got going on, any ankle issues, any toe issues, anything that's going on in the feet is going to have an effect up the postural line. So once I can start feeling into that, I have an attunement and awareness of bodies that lets me really start to see that. The same holds true from the energetic perspective, that we are an energetic field and energy is flowing through our body constantly. You can take that as woo-woo as you like, or you can say that, no, I have a nervous system that is a conduit for electricity and chemicals, and that there's an electrical chemical pulse throughout my body for the entirety of my life. When that stops, the lights are off and it's over.
What do you notice? Attunement of someone's body. I mean, you mentioned it briefly. That's a significant skill, not only obviously as the work that you do, but just general day to day. If you have attunement of obviously your own body, but also other people's, and that's obviously big in an intimate environment, but also just general connection and relating. How have you developed that skill, and what are some of the things you're looking for when it comes to bodies that are potentially in alignment and out of alignment, and what does that look like from an attunement point of view?
Yeah, relaxation. One of the key metrics is, can a human being lie down on the floor, and how much of their body, their physical musculature, how much of that can they relax? How much of their physical musculature can they surrender into gravity? And that's the base level. But instead of trying to improve posture through that Pilates or engagement method pathway, that's legitimate. But there's a whole nother pathway, which is learning to relax. And in relaxing, the structures fall into place. They find their alignment. It's the tension it's the dysfunctional tension that's pulling the joints out of alignment. So why don't we learn to relax them? And then we can play with strengthening them.
What have you noticed in the work, and you've been doing it for a very long time, what have you noticed in the work in terms of structural alignment and structural misalignment, and how does that show up with disease, energy, day to day? What have you noticed between someone that's really structurally aligned and relaxed in their body and someone that's not, and potentially some warning signs for people to be mindful of in terms of how that might be showing up for them?
Yeah, beautiful. Let's go with the positive first, and then we'll look at the kink. When a body is structurally aligned, just standing up requires less energy. When we're in alignment, when there's structural alignment, good tonus through the muscle, not too much, not too little, we can move smoothly through the world. So every step that we're taking, every action that we take, every interaction that we have, we're using less energy to do it. That means there's more energy available. Makes sense, yeah? It's not rocket science. So if I'm not wasting energy on fighting myself moving through the world, that energy becomes available, and free will means that we have then the choice of where we allocate that extra energy. Where do I want to invest it? Do I want to invest it with my children? Do I want to invest it with my lover? Do I want to invest it in the projects that I'm passionate about? It's like we get this surplus to invest in the parts of our life that give us a significant return on investment. It's economics.
Yeah. And the potential warning signs of people that are out of alignment or aren't attuned, what might be? So you obviously spoke about the ability to kind of release energy that doesn't have to work so hard to keep you attuned. I mean, the obvious polar to that is that you don't have a huge amount of energy, but what other things have you seen, from maybe your own alignment and misalignment, but also the how many hundreds or thousands of clients that you've had over the years as well?
Yeah, let's go really straight away for like a personal diagnostic. Do you have chronic pain anywhere in your body? Is there a chronic dull or sharp or significant pain anywhere in your body? If there is, it's a symptom of misalignment. We don't need to get into a story of I did something bad or wrong, or it just is. And then once we can accept that it's there, then we can go and have a look at what it's related to and how is it fitting into the picture. Anything that we cannot process, we store in our body until we have the capacity to deal with it. Now, so that holds true for traumas that we experience. We got hit by a bus or tackled hard in a rugby game and the knee went one way and the body went the other. Yeah, we've all had those things. Yeah. So if we can fully heal them, then there'll be no symptom on the other side. If we haven't fully healed them, then the joint or the area will stay sending a signal that something's not right. So we get to listen to that. That holds true also for emotional stuff. So much of our physical tension comes from our response to emotional stress. Now, our nervous system evolved over eons, over millions and millions of years to respond to the stresses of the environment, the natural environment that we evolved in. Yeah, so we have evolved stress responses for tigers and fires and being raided by other hunting parties, all this kind of cool shit. These days, we don't get to do that much of that. Yeah, we get emails from our boss and deadlines and arguments with our beloveds and all of this stuff. But we have this physical response to it where we tense up. So there are the three options to the stress response. We often talk about the flight and the fight. They're really common. The third is the freeze. We freeze. And mammalian evolution goes back 165 million years, yeah? Most all mammals come from a little mouse-like shrew that ran around avoiding dinosaurs and eating insects. So fighting was not the mammalian primary response to stress. Running was also secondary. The first one was freezing. We'd freeze. If I see the predator before it sees me and I stop doing anything, I stop breathing, I stop moving, I just hold still, there's a really good chance that the threat will go away. And that is how most people are responding to the modern stresses. The stresses of the modern world, the predominant response is to contract and to freeze a little. We still make it through, we still breathe enough to stay alive, but there's this contraction. And when we get to go after this background residual tension, this buildup of 1,000 little stresses, when we release that, then the body can really come back into alignment, come back into being restored and vital. Vitality. That's what I'm after.
Yeah, it's significant what you just said. And for context as well, and if you're looking at kind of trauma work or even trauma release, if you look at a lot of animals when they're in that environment, you'll see them shake as a form of releasing, and then they take off. And I think I'm sure you probably know this better than me. I think as kids we do it up until 6 or 12 months, and then we stop doing it. Or is there something that you're aware of that we do?
Let's look at it through this lens. I love looking at human physiology and consciousness through the lens of anthropological biology. Now, like I said before, we evolved in an environment, and part of the way humans evolved was also within a social environment. We are social creatures. That's pretty evident. Yeah, the last couple of years has really shown how significant that is. So we evolved, and for the vast majority of human evolution, we lived in 80 to 120 person tribes, where we had an intimate personal relationship with everyone in the tribe. There was some connection, brother, cousin, mother, auntie, we're all in it together. So in that context, when we go out into the world, you and I go out hunting antelope, and we're walking barefoot over the undulating surface. You've got your stick, I've got my stick, and we're having a chat as we go, And boom, we see the tiger. Fuck. Okay, we see him just before he sees us, but he's close enough. He's in range. What do? First response, we freeze for a second. Boom, we lock. We just stay still and we take it all in. And then we're evolved enough to make a decision about what we do. And maybe in this instant, we need to run like buggery, but we're capable. You've seen parkour guys, how they actually move. There's this myth that we're a slow, naked ape, a weak ape. That is a complete myth from my perspective. You look at a really good free runner, run through the urban jungle or run through the forest, and he can get away from a tiger. But in the process of that, elevated heart rate, a lot of adrenaline pumping through the system, we get back to camp, and you've experienced that. I know you've had stressful situations that have left you on an adrenaline pump. Imagine being able to walk back into the village, into the little hunter-gatherer camp, and grandpa's there, and mum's there, and dad's there, and everyone's there, auntie's there, and you come back in and they see you, and like, holy shit, something just happened. What are you like? Oh, we just ran away from a tiger. And auntie's like, here, sit down, and brings you a cup of tea and a something to eat. And someone pats you on the back and regulates your nervous system. The community regulate their own nervous system. And as the night settles in and the fire starts crackling and the songs start being sung and the stars come out overhead, it's like, that was an adventurous day. Cool. Reset, good night's sleep, wake up again, ready to see what the day holds.
It's such a significant point that you talk of in terms of regulating the nervous system. And as you said, there's so many ways that we can have trauma on the body, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, etc.
Chemical would be another huge
chemical
one.
Massive.
Think how many chemicals we've been exposed to in our lives that did not exist even 20 years ago. Something like 50,000 new chemical compounds a year that we create. The new car smell, I don't know what that is. I kind of like it, but I'm not sure it's good for me.
True, very true. So with your understanding of, such a deep understanding of the nervous system and the different ways in which we store trauma and really are piling ourselves up with trauma and crap and toxins and everything, what do you potentially do to safeguard yourself as best you can in a very challenging world, to safeguard your nervous system, to minimize the impact that different traumas are having on your body, different toxins. What are you doing that potentially others might consider doing or could at least look into?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Okay, like I think about it as an ecosystem. I am, and internally within myself, I am an ecosystem. And so I'm a system within a system. My life is a system, the world around me, the universe we live in. So it's lots of little things. Number one is hydration. Yeah, if you're going to make one change, be drinking filtered water. Fluoride and chlorine are great for keeping the water like not full of things that will kill you instantly. But over the long term, I'm less keen on them and my body feels the difference. So I think when the water actually gets to my tap, I want to filter it and have it as alive as possible. So clean water, whatever way you get that into you. Breathing, spend time, you know, you don't need to Wim Hof. That's a beautiful option. It doesn't need to be as hard as that, but just pretty much all of the ancient traditions advocate paying attention to the breath. Pick your flavor. There's a million ways you can do it, but just do it. Find one that feels good for you and spend some time every day focusing on your breath. Move your body. And again, it's the same thing. I've designed for myself a movement practice that I look forward to doing. I enjoy while I'm doing it and leaves my body feeling better after I've done it. Yeah. So now I'm hydrated. I'm in tune with my breath. I'm in tune with my body. And now I can listen. It will tell me what I want to eat. Yeah. What's right for me today? Is it more vegetable heavy? Is it more meat heavy? Is it a chocolate croissant? Like, what do I want? What's going to bring me aliveness?
That in itself is a masterful skill that I would love so many people to be able to like attain, that like the attunement to what your body wants is phenomenal. And, you know, you practice obviously what you preach in terms of deep attunement to the body, but that in itself, you kind of throw it off as just something basic, but it is quite the skill, right?
Yeah. I think to put a little more framework around it, then I probably eat 70-30, so 70% plant and 30 to 40% animal protein. That seems to be a really, really sweet spot for me. I love the fat. Like, give me the nutrient dense components.
Yeah.
And then I love to think about it as eating a rainbow. How many colors in a week? How many different colors can I get into my body? Because every one of those colors is a different chemical compound, a different molecular structure, a different building block. And then I think about having that base level nutrition. And then I think about the chocolate croissants and the cakes as entertainment. Yeah, they're not nutrition. They're not in my nutrition budget. They're in my entertainment budget. I do them because they make my life richer.
Yeah, totally get it.
A cup of tea and a piece of cake with a good friend. And like, why would I want to cut that out of my life?
Mate, you're speaking to the converted.
Yeah, totally. And then I train hard enough when I do the work phase, when I do the full engagement phase, I try and do the highest quality work that I can do, and bring the focus and the passion to that as well.
There's plenty in that you've spoken of around the nervous system and the work that you do. What for you, if you're going to give a few insights around nervous system? So obviously we've spoken about hydration, training, nutrition. If someone's kind of starting to grasp the thought of like really taking care of their nervous system, what are some key thoughts for you in terms of things to look out for, or just general understanding of nervous system for people that are starting to catch on to the importance of it?
Yeah, I'll answer this one super, super straight. If someone is at that place of really wanting to start looking at taking care of their nervous system and they have access to me, use me. Like, book a 20-minute one-on-one free introduction call and let's have a conversation
Mm.
about where your nervous system's at, where you'd love it to be at, and then we can have a look at like ways to facilitate that. That would be the primary, that'd be the first way. The other is, you know, if you're wanting to do the path by yourself, it's hard. Like finding, whether it's a jiu-jitsu teacher, whether it's a Tai Chi teacher, find a teacher, find someone who's already walked the path, who when you look at them, you know that their nervous system is functioning. Yeah, by their demeanor, by the way they move through the world, by the way, how they are when they order a coffee. Yeah, that's how you tell a good teacher. And then when you find a good teacher, double down. Yeah, that's the path. That's how I got to where I am. I was blessed from the beginning with incredible teachers. But when I found one, I dived in and I'm like got as much juice out of it. I was the best student I could be with every teacher that I've had.
Yeah. And as someone who has struggled a lot with his nervous system previously, I've found, and obviously environment plays a big role, but you also can, you know, a master of their nervous system was probably holding up pretty well in any environment, but I really struggled in the eastern suburbs of Sydney for me. And I know, you know, the kind of last 3 to 5 years, it's been a really big piece for me as I now live in Byron, and just, I found it so much easier.
I've got a thing that someone can do for themselves, really easy, low cost, go camping. Yeah, if you want to reset your nervous system, the lowest cost option, the one that will give you the most bang for your buck, is go and do a 24 to 48 hour escape, sleeping in a tent without the electrics around you. Even radical concept, go somewhere where you don't have phone reception and like go airplane mode for 48 hours. Have a fire, drink some good water, hang out with a good friend, have whatever other accompaniments to that are going to have you feeling the most comfortable, and check in on how you feel on the other side of that.
As someone who was at a retreat 3 weeks ago and slept in a tent for the whole week, I can resonate with that massively. I don't know whether it was the land, the retreat, or sleeping in a tent, or the combination of the three probably, but like, holy fuck, I felt the difference in my nervous system over the course of that week. It was unbelievable. So I can vouch for that. Mate, if people want to find out about your work, where is the best spot for them to find you?
Instagram's great. I love sharing on Insta. So The Body Magician on Instagram, or the website is www.thebodymagician.com.
For those of you who aren't aware of Bruce's work, it is fascinating, his videos, to watch how he actually does his magic. So I'm sure you'll be entertained, but jump across, enjoy his work. And ideally, if you're in Sydney, get in touch with him, book in a session, and get that nervous system nice and healthy.
Yeah, Blake, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Great to chat, brother.